This week on the show, it's sort of a grab bag of just we're talking about the news, but that's what makes sense because it's a news show. It's time for Nerdigo News. Bruno, do the thing. Welcome to Nerdigo News, the only entertainment show that has done the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. I'm Riley Trahan, Senior Entertainment Editor here at Nerdigo.com, and I'm wondering if I've done that one before over the course of the last 10 years or so. I'm, of course, as always, joined by my co-host, Deepak Chitnis.
I'm sure we talked about it during solo time.
Yeah, we must have, right? When we were talking about how you have to keep the, what's that stuff? Bruno Meneses, producer, what's that stuff called you have to keep cold?
You have to keep it cold?
The stuff you have to keep cold in solo. When you
coaxium.
Coaxium.
When you're solo and you have to keep it cold.
Do you remember coaxium, Bruno, and solo?
I do.
Did I actually get that right?
I think you nailed it, yeah.
No.
And then, of course, owing me a life debt from that time we wrestled in the mud pit, Jackson Trahan. Look at that. It's all tied together here at the end.
You said Odyssean Hissen a life debt?
Very well. I think that was the original, actually, and that's very...
Can I get that spelled out?
Nailed it.
Can't wait to see how our auto captioning feature tackles that one. If you want to see our social media videos that have great auto captioning, you can head over to our social media feeds at Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, for some reason still, and Blue Sky at Nerdigo Media. You can also get us on YouTube, youtube.com/@NerdigoMedia. Or if you're more into the whole brevity thing, you can head over to nerdigo.com where you can get all our stuff sent straight to your email. Just type in your email address for free. We promise to never advertise to you or sell your address or anything like that. We just send you the podcast, really. That's what we do with it. So pop your email into the box, get the podcast. Let's do the show. All right. The top thing that we're really talking about today, and I think the thing we're all most excited to discuss, Bruno.
Just a side note, I think it's perfectly fine if we just keep calling it Twitter. We don't need to call it the other thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's listen, it's either for me, it's either Twitter or X the Everything app. There is no in between. There's the third thing he wants me to call it will not be happening. I'm either gonna make him wear
by Google.
What's the third thing?
Well, he just wants it to be X, right?
He wants it to just
I
be
really
X,
want to
but
make
he's
him
saying it's
wear
X,
the shame of X the Everything app.
We had a similar bit about Pixel the phone by Google when the Pixel ad campaign first started, and they really wanted you to know who made this phone.
Nice.
Jack and I have a long-standing history of making tech conglomerates own their
stand by their goddamn taglines.
So the biggest thing this week is, of course, that we are excited about the new film Obsession, which is tearing up the box office. $16 million as of this recording. Wow. The film cost $750,000 to make and is a first-time director. So we're going to talk all about it, as well as our reactions to the film and all that at the end of this show. But before that, we're going to go through a little bit of the news. And I think, news-wise, we're going to start with Jackson's story, which comes to us from the land of, am I pronouncing this right, Jack? Video James?
Yeah. Well, we have a few, I pulled together a few different Video James stories that we can talk about today.
Perfect. Wait, hold on. Sorry. I did want to say, I think this branding of when we're just doing sort of a potpourri of different stories and stuff, I think it is going to be After Dark. If anybody wanted...
Why do you... I just want to know why you put the sunglasses on after dark.
Well, Jack, it's because I'm a bad boy.
Oh, okay. That does make sense. Thank you.
I'm so happy you asked.
So as a part of my After Dark
stories,
I have a few video game stories. One of the biggest... or loudest, might be more fair to say, things that happened last week. You may recall at the end of last week's podcast, you all listen to the end of every episode, right?
Everyone,
so at the end of last
everyone had better be doing the whole show all the way through to the end.
I recommended that you go check out a new game that released a day ago when we were recording called Mixtape. It's a $20 game for most consoles and PC.
An uncontroversial game recommendation from Jack, just sort of a, hey, here's the indie pick of the week, a sort of a signature tag off for Jack.
Would not have expected it to be anything more than that.
Yeah.
But that game has actually had a surprising amount of controversy in the week since then, or maybe controversy is not the right word. But I think a lot of people have been kind of upset that it got reviewed as strongly as it did. Particularly, a lot of review sites gave it like a perfect score. IGN is one of them. Not that IGN reviews mean anything.
Not that we.
People are mad that a game is good.
Well, so
Well, I think they're mad that this game scored better than maybe games they like more, and in particular, this game doesn't have a lot of gameplay. It's more like an interactive short movie. Now, for what it's worth, I think it's a pretty compelling interactive short movie. I mean, it's very campy, but if you can meet it where it's at, I think it's a fun time.
not we try and sort of stay away from like as Bruno phrased this, and I think this was nail on the head, Bruno, like Reddit style reporting.
Yeah.
But I did see like a Reddit post that specifically cited the IGN 10 out of 10 review as sort of like, I think, a flare point around which people started to like react.
Pay more attention to it.
Yeah, right.
But in particular, I think IGN had just posted a not 10 out of 10 review for another game that came out recently, Mouse Detective PI, I think it's called.
Right, that Mickey Mouse black and white public,
it's an interactive sim like Bioshock, I think. Or an immersive sim, an immersive sim like Bioshock or Deus Ex, or those sorts of run and gun environmental storytelling shooters.
Yeah, but you play as a black and white Mickey Mouse.
Yes, we play as old Mickey. Anyway, so there was just like a big flare up online of people like, oh, why is this game doing well? And it's like, I don't know. I feel like we just had this. Didn't we do this? Haven't we talked about this when Edith Finch or Life is Strange or like
Dispatch.
any of these other fucking Proteus or
Yeah,
Literally
right.
just last year they had Dispatch, and like it faced sort of like similar complaints.
Well, Jack, surely this game
Dispatch
doesn't
is-
feature a female protagonist.
Well, that's an interesting point, Riley.
I only keep making that point because it only continues to
Because it
be
keeps
valid
sort of
every
being true
single
and
time
relevant.
one of these little
Flat
things
circle.
happens.
That's a great point. I don't know. I think I can get like if you were coming into it expecting something really different, but I also don't think this game advertised itself as anything other than like when I recommended it, Bruno, you looked up the trailer like in real time, and like the first thing you said was, "Oh, it's like an interactive movie."
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's
like,
very
that's still
clear. from
fine.
looking at
Like it tells you that it's that. Like it has one of the little tags that like Steam says like visual novel or something.
right.
Yeah.
On the last night of high school, 3 friends embark on one more adventure together. Play through a mixtape of memories set to the soundtrack of a generation. Skate, party, avoid the law, make out, sneak out, hang out. I don't know
all
about
of
the
those
2
things.
taglines.
All of
but
those
it's
things
that.
have mechanics.
Ooh.
For the people who say that there's not enough mechanics in this game,
Make out.
there are kissing mechanics.
Definitely a kissing mechanic.
So I don't
Tap
want
X
to dwell on
faster.
this too long. I just I felt compelled to bring it up since I'd recommended the game, and then I saw all this talk about it like right after we recorded the episode. I feel like I had to bring that up.
Well,
But there's other happier video game news.
it is interesting, right? Just because, like you say, we constantly see these weird little like flame points around certain titles. My
Right.
pop culture recommendation all the way at the end of the episode, which everyone's gonna stick all the way around for.
Yeah, don't cut out early just because you got the. I know you're only here for the pop culture rec.
But is Star Wars Outlaws, and that was a game that when it came, that was a game that featured a female protagonist that when it came out got like review bombed after it got sort of an initially positive response, although I think it was maybe too expensive at the time. See my pop culture recommendation for more. I can't burn all my fuel now. Anyway, point being,
Coaxium.
we see, thank you, I have to keep it cold. We see these things all the time where like these gamers like freak out about this game or that game, and I just find it so hard to take it seriously because it just like it seems like now more than ever it's just like
Then why are we talking about it then? I mean,
Well, I think
not to like point the finger specifically at the story or Jackson, or something, but like,
I think it's
why are
state
we
of the
talking
industry
about it then?
Like I think it's state of the industry stuff, right? Like it is a problem that like anything that resembles like sort of interest, it's Last Jedi, right? Oh, it was sort of an interesting and thoughtful meditation on a thing. We hate it, burn it. It made us feel, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's a problem. And
But as I say, I also don't want this to be the only thing I'm talking.
we'll get to your other after darks.
So some other video game news from this week. We had Subnautica 2 came out of a turbulent development into early access. We briefly looked at Subnautica, Riley, you and I believe.
We did.
A while ago.
And I thought this thing was looking like it was getting like millions of downloads in its sort of initial debut. I know Subnautica very popular, so the sequel much anticipated, right?
I think there was a bit of hullabaloo about a developer or a publisher being removed from the game's development.
Okay.
That caused a bit of a tiff among some of the fans and players who didn't want to like support the game when they thought that it wasn't supporting the people they wanted. I admittedly haven't been keeping up with the story as well as I should have, but
it was
a lot of that.
5 million times is what I saw.
Well, there you go. That makes more sense because I do think it only just is available for download now.
Yeah.
But I thought one statement that the developer made was particularly interesting because he was talking about piracy, which is what I really wanted to talk about.
Oh.
Yo ho.
Curious, you guys' opinions
on video game piracy?
On this guy's quote. Give me a second. I'm pulling up.
Yo ho, pirates. This is appropriate for Subnautica, because that's a game where you travel the seas.
Well, you're not exactly a pirate, but
You're
you
not
are
exactly a pirate, but you are in the ocean.
Gosh dang it, I would have sworn it would be easier to pull up than this. So essentially the entire game was leaked online before early access came out. And so obviously a lot of people took advantage of that to gain access to the game early and for free.
I remember this happening.
And so then once it came out on early access, the developer posted, my problem wasn't with people who pirate games. I get why people do it. I used to be young and had money troubles too. My problem was with people who like come into the Discord and were bragging over everybody else who was like waiting to support the game more legitimately.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I think it was, I don't know, sort of to your point about, yeah, here's the whole quote. I cannot condone piracy, but I get why people do it. We were all kids once. Money and the economy are hard. It wasn't the piracy that bothered me. I'm not a millionaire. I don't own a home. I rent. I just want to make the best launch possible for our people. And so I think it's interesting when you get like this controversy around a game that I'm sure this developer really didn't have much to do with, that then the blowback comes like the entitlement that some people online feel around, like, if I don't agree with any of this development, then I should just get this thing for free. Like, I don't know that I've ever agreed with that, like, chain of reasoning. If you don't want to buy it, then I get that.
And this is a problem that we're seeing across different industries, right? There's a film festival. I'm not going to be able to remember which one. Deepak, is it maybe Sundance? They've started experimenting with a streaming platform for critics. And now every year they have movies that get pirated and get downloaded and get leaked.
Oh,
and
sure.
like you'll get clips of individual actors who have popular fandoms, like just from those movies that aren't even out yet, the clips would like start circulating TikTok. And to my mind, it's sort of the same thing, Jack. It's an entitlement problem, right? It's this idea of like, if I don't feel like the people who are keeping this thing from me are keeping it from me for legitimate reasons, then I have no reason to like respect the process. And it's particularly destructive, like in the case of this Subnautica thing, where sort of the air might be taken out of the launch, right? If you have like this community of 5 million people or however many who are excited to get their hands on it, who like suddenly feel all the mystery and excitement of the game's release is taken out of it because, people who get illegal access to early copies are posting screenshots or clips or spoilers or whatever.
And I mean, how much
where it would hurt.
important is hype to this whole...
Yeah, right, to this whole machine.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't mean to come off as so like, as completely woe as...
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys,
Obviously,
this company's trying to make a... Yeah, right, now I hear you.
Subnautica is a little different. It is an indie dev, but a lot of people...
Right.
No, not you. Sorry. Subnautica is a little different. It is an indie dev, but people will obviously like feel super okay about pirating games from Xbox or Sony or Nintendo or any of these bigger publishers if they can get it.
Right.
And it's just always left a weird taste in my mouth, especially like this guy says, the people who just seem so proud about it. Like it does feel like if you're going to do it, at least be cool,
Yeah, don't really like go around telling people you managed to do it.
Yeah, well, and I think that was part of it, right? Wasn't his initial statement like he had posted on social media something to the effect of like, "Thanks for pirating a game I spent like 10 years of my life working
Oh
on," or
yeah,
something like
maybe he
that.
didn't have a as cordial a response at first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I think the statement you read, Jack, was more of his like follow up being like, "Look, I wasn't trying to be a dick. I just like, come on, guys, seriously."
Sure, fair enough. That would
Uh,
make sense for sure. And I mean, I don't know that I would do any better. They've definitely been developing this game for a while.
Yeah.
well, hopefully it blows up. I would love to see it get. I mean, the first one sort of I feel like became a cult classic, so I would love to see the second one
Yeah,
get like the full embrace that the first one seems to have built up over years.
it's a
Um,
difficult uh, target to hit with
yeah,
a sequel like that, but we'll see.
we'll find out. It'll be interesting. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. I know I'm gonna play it when it comes out, and I'm incredibly tuned out of some things, so I definitely haven't seen any of the spoilers. So that's
Well,
all
my
good.
last one,
Yeah.
which can be really brief, but you had just mentioned it also to me, Riley,
Mm.
is Forza Horizon 6 is now out for reviews. It has become the best reviewed game of 2026.
No.
It is there. Some things have leaked online. Riley, you and I were talking this weekend about a level that came out online where you race a Gundam.
Yeah, you do.
I did see
It's like
that.
running, tearing up trees.
You're
and,
just
like,
driving a
destroying
sports
the
car
road
and
as
it's
you're
just
driving.
running next to you, like tearing
Yeah,
up buildings and
it's
stuff.
very cool.
Yeah.
And we talked about how like that's the sort of shit we love from video games. Like, don't give me realistic race. Like, I like sports games where you do a slam dunk and the basketball lights on fire and then the arena explodes. Like, make it
Right.
insane.
Well, and the Forza games in particular have sort of always been like the NFL blitz of the racing genre. You know, there is definitely space.
Burnout.
Well, okay, but look, absolutely. Listen, back in the day, no lie.
Yeah, I don't
If
think
we
they're
could
still
get some
making
more burnout
burnouts.
games, I'd be
Yeah.
there in a heartbeat.
Let's
no,
go.
no question. I'd be throwing those cars off the bridges just to watch them explode for hours. But Forza, I think of the two right now really major relevant racing game franchises,
Yeah.
right? There's like the Forza games and there's the Gran Torino
Gran
game.
Torino.
Um,
And then
Turismo,
Need for
pardon me,
Speed,
Gran
maybe.
Turismo. Gran Torino's a Clint Eastwood movie. Gran
Yeah.
Turismo.
Fuck.
Yeah.
God damn it.
And the Gran Turismo games really make their bona fides in like how accurate that simulation is, right? They're like the PUBG
Yeah.
of racing games, right? Like you really need a full setup. You can't really be playing it with a controller because you got to be doing all the buttons and the gear switches and the toggles and the on and offs. Forza lets you rewind 30 seconds if something in the race happens.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
such a better feeling for me. It's the racing game I want. I want to be able to go back if somebody knocks me off the track. I want to be able to go back a minute and a half and absolutely own their asses and keep trying at it over and over until I get first in the race on my first try. So I like the Forza games. They're very silly and goofy. In the last one, it had a whole DLC where you played on Hot Wheels tracks and you could unlock Hot Wheels cars. So I was
Oh, that's
excited to
great.
see the silliness front and center in some of the early marketing already.
Well, it's the fourth Horizon game to get a 91, or I shouldn't say Horizon, a Forza Horizon game to get a 91 or above on Metacritic. So, I mean, you know, it's, I guess, a hard genre maybe to fuck up compared to some others, but it seems like they still know what they're doing.
It was also interesting to see, you know, just all this talk about the end of the console exclusive era. It is going to be on Xbox only for a little while. Like, it's not day one on PlayStation. And I wanted to call that out because I noticed it. And because I'm probably going to have to move around where some
And on
gaming
Game
consoles
Pass.
are in my
You're
car.
paying for Game Pass, the new cheaper Game Pass. You can go play the new Forza game.
I'm
Get it
probably
now.
going to have to get it off of Steam because I canceled my
Well,
Game Pass.
you can do that also.
Deepak, we got movie news.
We do. Peter Jackson, our best friend.
Heard of him?
Yeah. Riley, I should hand it over to you now for Lord of the Rings news, right? That's this time of the episode.
Well, yeah, no, here you can get started, and then I'll. Yeah. That's definitely happening. Don't make it sound like that's not happening, but we'll get to it later.
Peter Jackson is at Cannes a little early, as a lot of people are generally, to kind of do some press, meet and greet, handshake deals, those kinds of things. And at a Q&A that he was doing, he mentioned that he is currently actively writing the script for the Tintin sequel, The Adventures of Tintin 2. The direct quote, according to Screen Daily, is, quote, "I've been working with Fran," who is Fran Walsh, his partner, "on another Tintin script. I was writing it in the hotel room here. It's an active, real thing, and I'm getting back into the Tintin world, and I actually love it." So some background, in case, just as if he didn't like it the first time, some context, of course, is that December 2011, the first Tintin movie comes out. It's produced by Jackson, directed by Steven Spielberg. It does fairly well at the box office. It's a bigger hit outside of the U.S. than in the U.S. because that's where Tintin has a larger market. But there was enough of a hit that there was talk of a sequel happening. Jackson got tied up with the Hobbit movie. Spielberg goes on to do a number of other things. And then Jackson, of course, kind of doesn't do any movies for a while other than the Beatles documentary and the World War I documentary.
But
So
the
it
plan
looks
had
like
always been, like the promise initially from the
was
jump,
that they
had
were
always
going to
been they
flip.
would flop. That Spielberg would produce Jackson's Tintin movie after Jackson had produced Spielberg's,
And then
that
the
was
third one, they would hand it off to some new guy. And they had talked about potentially doing Cigars of the Pharaoh, Blue Lotus. Cigars of the Pharaoh, if you guys remember, is the book that the video game I bought recently is adapted from. The end of the Tintin movie leads directly into another Tintin book that is not particularly interesting. It's they're hunting for the treasure that they kind of find the map to at the end of the movie, and then they go and get the treasure at the end. I don't know how many people are going to be waiting 15 years to see the rest of that story, but it is exciting that they're apparently actively making it. Riley, I told you this offline. I had read that Jackson was apparently reticent to make live action movies after the death of Andrew Lesnie, his longtime cinematographer, who passed away, I think, in the wake of Battle of the Five Armies. So I think maybe he's using this as like a kind of like it's dipping his toe into the pool of live action cinema after doing some documentaries. And now he's going to do animated, and then maybe we'll get,
so I'm looking at this list of Tintin titles here. There are 24 Tintin books, according to
24 official ones,
Wikipedia. And
T-Box, like, that's not counting my extensive
my
collection.
Stop.
I actually don't have every Tintin book, believe it or not.
The ones that I've heard you mention most often in association with adaptation potential are sort of, I feel like, the middle section of Hergé, kind of the 5 through 10 or thereabouts, right? Here are the titles I'm specifically referencing.
I was about to pull one off the shelf, but go ahead.
Cigars of the Pharaoh, The Blue Lotus, The Broken
You
Ear.
have Cigars of the Pharaoh as 5 on your list?
I have it as 4.
4. What is yours?
Okay, I'll start at number 1, Tintin in the Land of the Soviets.
Yeah, okay, sorry, go ahead. So Pharaoh, Blue Lotus, and then Broken Ear?
Broken Ear, and then Black Island, and then this one's, I just really wanted to say this, King Ottokar's Scepter.
So the only problem with all of those is that they don't have Captain Haddock in them. They were all prior to
that is a big problem.
So you expect Captain Haddock to be returning this sequel?
Not only that, but I expect them to introduce Professor Calculus also. So they'll get the whole crew together.
So we might really
the inventor of calculus?
We might introduced in none other than the Calculus Affair, I would imagine.
The Calculus Affair would actually be really fun because that is a very like Cold War espionage tinged story. So obviously, I actually have a poster of it hanging in my kid's room. But that would be fun. That could actually sustain, I think, an entire movie on its own.
I'm not sure. Well, so
but you need Professor Calculus for it. But he's an established character by then. So
bring back Daniel Craig to play the Calculus. Honestly,
why not?
That would be, if he could do the voice, that'd be fun.
Mortal Engines, War of the Rohirrim, he sort of was producer on. I don't know how involved he was with War of the Rohirrim. It's been a minute since he was in the saddle. I would love to get Jackson back. I mean, we'll talk. Well, I suppose we can do it right now. We can D-Beck, I don't mean to.
No, please.
The other big Peter Jackson scuttlebutt coming out of Cannes is that he is developing the Silmarillion or potentially trying to work on a deal or try and figure something out that would allow him to develop the Silmarillion.
He's doing something with these damn jewels.
He's looking at the Silmarillion real hard.
He's got these 3 beautiful jewels.
Reports are coming in that Peter Jackson is looking at the Silmarillion from across the bar, and he likes its vibe.
Guys, he's got the diamonds. He's got the diamonds. Jackson's looking at the diamonds.
Peter Jackson wants the Silmarillion to know that he noticed it from over there, and its vibe is cool. Yeah, no. So, okay. for a long time, the Silmarillion was completely off limits to Jackson, Warner Brothers, everybody. The reasons for that are not super well reported. I will give you some of my speculation. What the official statement is that now that there has been some turnover at the Tolkien estate board,
Right.
you know, negotiations are more open than they had been in the past.
Mhm.
I
Now,
believe it.
what that means is that Christopher Tolkien died.
Yeah.
That's what that's what turnover on the board means, is that
Indeed.
Christopher Tolkien died, and now his kids are in charge. And the Silmarillion, was a posthumous novel, obviously, by
Yes.
J.R.R. Tolkien. It was an assembly of his notes that came out after he had died. It sort of tells loosely the large kind of outline of three separate stories, the biggest and grandest of those being the first War of the Jewels, which just is the Silmarillion. My understanding from talking to people in the past had sort of always been that Christopher Tolkien was reticent to have any of his stuff adapted in the same way the official materials had been, because his stuff wasn't official, right? It was sort of just like an assemblage or an understanding or whatever.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, due to that turnover on the estate board, if now people were a little bit less like worried about that. I'm curious how a Silmarillion movie would do, even given the full Tolkien treatment. I mean, I wonder what you guys know about the Silmarillion. What is your perception of the Silmarillion? What do you know about like the story that it tells? Anything like that? I feel like when I hear people who are not like as deep in the Lord of the Rings stuff as me talk about the Silmarillion, they just talk about it as like that book no one's ever read, which is a totally valid read to have on it, by the way.
It's a hard one to read. I've tried. It's like Dune for me. I've tried multiple times and can't get through it. But thanks to friends like Riley and friends like YouTube, I know the story at a high level. I think you can make a perfectly good 2 or 3 movies out of it. It is yet again a quest for jewelry. There is swashbuckling, daring do, and romance, and hideous monsters, and all of it. So sounds like it's right up Jackson's alley.
My understanding was that it was a very, like, not exactly a coherent piece.
Right.
That it was more.
Yeah, but then he can add in stuff from the appendices and do whatever he wants and flesh it out.
I don't think that's a problem necessarily.
No.
I just think that, like, when you read it, it feels less like a novel.
Yeah, because it's not. It's written like
stories.
exactly. It's like an oral history of.
Yeah. So this okay.
It reminds me a lot of which the same book that's like House of the Dragon is based on.
Yeah.
History of Fire and Blood.
Fire and Blood.
Fire.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Fire and Blood. Is like how like
I kept thinking of the World of Ice and Fire, but that's a different thing.
So the Silmarillion itself, as a book, if you were to pick it up right now, and you could, it exists. It's in the meat space.
It's a real book.
It's a physical thing. You can touch
physical media.
I have it in the living room. I just forgot to grab it.
Yeah, I have it. I would show it off, except it's not in this room. But point being, there are a couple of stories in it, and people who like this is gonna be. I should be able to pronounce my Tolkien words better than I can for how much I like. I don't even say his name correctly. So there, first of all, there's the Enlindale, which is
confidence is really key here, Riley. None of us are going to correct you.
Yeah, really.
So there's the music of the Ainur, right, which is the opening story, which is like the creation myth of Middle Earth. That I would imagine maybe gets like 5 minutes if you feel compelled.
That's your Cate Blanchett prologue.
That's your opening Cate Blanchett monologue. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Exactly. Then the main meat of what I think would be tackled in this film is known as the Quenta Silmarillion, right? Which is the story of Melkor's War of the Rings, right? And that I think gets broken up pretty easily into 3 even sections. If for example, you're the kind of guy, Peter Jackson, who likes trilogies, who likes doing a needless trilogy. The first section I think would be all about Melkor destroying the 2 lamps. They are the kind of the lights of Middle Earth.
Okay.
So it would be Melkor destroys the 2 lamps. Aman and Middle Earth are created. So, that's like the area that we've seen in all the movies, the land where our friends all live. That stuff gets made by the gods. And then the Valar move to Middle Earth. So that's like the elves.
Is that compelling territory for a trilogy for general audiences. What about
That
I
does
thought
seem like the question.
Am I thinking of a different story?
Mhm.
The oh god, there's the elf princess and the prince.
No, yeah, that's
Baron
later.
and Luthien.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
we're getting
is
there.
that not part of the Silmarillion?
That's not part of the Silmarillion.
Okay.
But that would be a better story. Listen, there's a lot of sort of part of what drives me insane, and maybe it's a rights thing. Baron and Luthien would be a great story to adapt. Children of Hurin
It's
would be
just
a great. Children of
Aragorn and what's her name?
Yeah,
now?
and Arwen again. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big cat. You'd have to figure out what you're going to do with the big cat if you want to just do that
I can
literally or
figure
not.
it out.
But you can just you can just make the bad guy a big cat.
Ask Masters of the Universe. Yeah,
Precisely. Children of Hurin is a great like generational story about like
So these are
carrying on
all
like
like
legacy
the
and stuff.
appendices, right?
Yeah, and I don't. Well, they've since been published as their own works.
Their own,
Right. There's the Fall of Numenor has been published as its own story. I think that one's really cool.
which we're getting as the TV show now. Yeah.
Right, which is also that is in the Silmarillion. It's called the Akalabeth, but I don't think that would be included in a film adaptation of the Silmarillion. But anyway, yeah, there's all this other stuff that we better.
But yeah,
I don't
I
know,
agree.
to be honest with you, whether or not like Melkor fighting Iluvatar for the fate of like the cosmos is. I mean,
Especially like hour 1 into the first movie.
right, right. Anyway, so then beyond that, they would also have to go on to what they call the Year of the Trees, which is where kind of
Right.
the
Yeah, I
Earth
remember
goddess
this.
creates the Valinor to restore light to the world. We awaken the elves and start the First Age, and then Melkor, also called Morgoth, steals the Silmarils, and then Ungiliant, who is a giant spider, who doesn't love one of them,
Right.
destroys the 2 trees of the Valinor by gobbling them up. Then everybody has a big war. The men wake up. The elves fight Morgoth in Breland, in Beleriand, and then Beleriand is destroyed, and that's sort of how that story ends. It's his big bad tower. So we'd end with a big war.
Sounds
I think
Lord
that
of the
could be
Ringsy
cool.
to me.
Yeah. If they're looking
sure.
for more stuff, I think it's a fine place to mine. I am just exhausted.
Do you think the Silmarillion has enough name recognition that they would actually name the movie Silmarillion?
Yes, I do. Because I think that actually there might be a book I am never going to read that appeal to some people, right? Like
Right.
like there might be a certain like Tolkien contingent of people who see that like there's Silmarillion movies and they're like, "Oh, well, I was definitely never going to read the book, but if I can just go and watch these guys fight
Yeah.
for 2 hours, I find out what that's about."
Well, that's the reason I asked. Like, instead of calling it the Silmarillion, if you're only going to focus on a part
war
of it,
for
that's
the
the War for the Ring. Like, instead of the Lord of
Rules.
the Rings, it's the War of the Rings now, or something
Yeah.
like that. Right?
Yeah,
So-
Right.
something Morgoth's throne or whatever. Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll see how good the hunt
Lord
for
of the
Gollum does.
Diamonds.
I think before we start counting any of these chickens, because right now
Yeah,
Hunt for
no
Gollum,
kidding.
I think, is the first bridge they got across there. I don't think there was any other Tolkien news this week, guys. Are you shocked to hear that's the only?
I mean, I was gonna say, is that a common occurrence, Tolkien news?
The only
I guess the
it's
other
been
thing was
happening
that
a lot recently. Yeah,
we've just been on such a slew of it that it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
The other thing
Circus was
that
on
Colbert-
a podcast that he did mention that Viggo Mortensen has supposedly blessed the Jamie Dornan casting of Aragorn.
Oh well, good. All good and
that's nice.
fine then.
I heard that, but also
I'm
like,
excited to see Jamie Dornan.
what the
in
fuck
that role.
else is he gonna do?
Yeah, what if he hadn't?
Yeah,
right?
that's why I
What if-
was like, fuck that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, could you imagine famous nice guy Viggo Mortensen being like, "Fuck Jamie Dornan, you can have my crown when
He'll
he
never
takes it out
be
of my
me."
hands."
50 Shades of Trash.
No, God.
Yeah, and apparently Colbert had pitched his movie before he got canceled on that night. So that was the other Tolkien adjacent.
This is not a
news.
career reviving scheme by him.
So they claim.
So they claim.
Bruno, you want to talk a Westworld?
Sure, I'll talk about Westworld. So coming out of Deadline, I believe was the original earlier this week with an exclusive. They broke the news that David Koepp, who is mostly known for having adapted Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park to the screen, is now working on an adaptation of the Westworld novel, also by Michael Crichton. Very specifically mentioning that he is focusing more on the film.
Westworld it was straight to a movie, but it was
Yeah,
written
sorry.
and
Yeah.
directed by Crichton. Yeah.
but he mentioned that he is focusing mostly on Crichton's film versus like
Like the
focusing
TV show or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. You can't do the TV show as a movie.
It's not going to be connected to the TV show at all, but it's still going to be produced by Warner Brothers, I believe.
Deepak says you can't get the TV show as a movie unless you pay me, baby.
Yeah, you can't afford me now, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why.
One of the big reasons why like this is such like major news is because earlier this year at South by Southwest, Steven Spielberg was on stage and he mentioned that the next movie that he'd be working on after Disclosure Day was a Western.
He did tell me that. Yeah,
being a very close collaborator with David Koepp and like also
having a Michael
Park.
Crichton movie between the two of them in the past. Yeah,
exactly.
Two Michael Crichton movies.
It does seem like it pretty much everything is lining up that this is going to be Spielberg's mysterious like Western movie that he's working on.
So the funny thing is, Spielberg spent years, and it never ended up happening, trying to make a movie called Robopocalypse, which is based on a novel that my understanding is it's exactly what it sounds like.
Interesting.
Westworld would probably cover a lot of the same ground, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And I remember him working with Chris Hemsworth on that one, so I wonder if that means Hemsworth is in line for the Brenner role, which would be interesting. Hemsworth as a bad guy would be cool. See Furiosa, see Bad Times at the El Royale. The Westworld movie is good. The Westworld movie is fine. The show is totally different. You can't, like I said, adapt the show as a movie because it's just too complicated. The movie that Crichton wrote for the screen and then directed is basically Terminator in a theme park. It's one of the robots goes nuts, short circuits, whatever, and is going around the theme park killing people. I think Koepp and definitely, of course, Spielberg can make a hell of a movie out of that, especially because Jurassic Park and Westworld share a lot of DNA, no pun intended.
And he said when you were sitting there,
when he was looking dead in my eyes.
But actually, you know what?
Into my soul, telling me
sunglasses off for this. When you were sitting there, you were sitting there in the arena,
when I kicked Sean Fennessy off stage to
being stonewalled by Sean Fennessy.
Yeah.
After you put in your questions, and this is not a lie. This isn't a bit we're doing now.
Oh yeah, this is 100% true. Yes.
After you put in, now
yeah.
Deepak's getting worked up because he remembers.
Yes.
After Deepak put in his question saying, he was the first person to put in a question, and to be clear, nobody got any questions. It's not like Fennessy like deliberately didn't. But we were sitting there.
I don't
morning
know.
of, Deepak puts in the question: Tintin sequel when?
Yeah,
we could have been breaking news, but Sean Fennessy
spent like an hour working this.
Doesn't want to. Yeah, man, it was Tintin sequel when. Sean Fennessy doesn't want to get big dogged by Deepak, so he deliberately didn't ask about Tintin, and then he could have broken the story of the century.
Talk about alien movies.
But anyway, while we were there, he said that this Western that he wants to make doesn't have any tropes. And I did find that just specific, like, quote, if it is true that he's doing Westworld, I thought that it was very interesting of him being like, yeah, no, I'm not doing a tropey Western. It's going to have robots and shit. But
Deepak kind of, I mean, it's the way that, like, you know, those movies that send up a genre, they satirize the tropes by also playing into the tropes. Westworld will do the same. Like, my recollection of it is that it all boils down to another, like,
a shootout.
You know, an old showdown. You know,
yeah. Well, but let me ask you this, Deepak. My warning radar only went up at this. The original story that I saw said that Koepp was penning this screenplay for a Warner Brothers adaptation, which would make sense with the right situation.
Right. Yeah.
Could you see Spielberg doing a Warner Brothers movie at this point in his career? I don't know. Like, is he? Well,
he's still attached to doing that Bullet movie with Bradley Cooper. The one you know they made Bullet with Steve McQueen in the '60s, and this not a spin-off or a sequel, just kind of its own thing. But that would also be Warner Brothers, based on where the rights end up. Or I mean, because the original is with Warner Brothers. So
I just didn't know if he was, you know,
because of the TCM of it all.
Just if he was chained to Universal. I don't know. I mean, all these
guys.
He's
Spielberg. He can do whatever he wants. He's actually worked a lot with Disney over the last 10 years. West Side Story, Bridge of Spies.
Oh, West Side Story was a Disney, wasn't it? Yeah. So. Okay, cool. Well, hey, I'm here. Listen.
The Post.
Don't threaten me with a good time, Steven Spielberg's Westworld.
What was Fableman's under?
Which one?
Fablemans?
Universal.
That was Universal.
Universal.
Yep. Okay, I think it's time. Are we doing it? Is this the part?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Talk about a movie.
I think we've talked about the news. Let's
Mhm.
start by talking about the news around Obsession, just so that any of our spoiler conscious listeners can still hang around for a little while longer before we get into the actual plot of the film. But Obsession is, as I alluded to at the beginning of this episode, tearing up the box office. I have to think
400 million today alone.
That's
So
not exactly accurate.
it is at $16 million this weekend. It's got an A- cinema score. The other horror movies with A- cinema scores are pretty rarefied air. I will pull that list up here and get ready to read it in a second. But let me just ask you guys, what are you making of the reactions we're seeing to the movie? Are we officially ready to dub Obsession this year's Weapons, Bruno?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, so like that's my one like holdback from calling it that is that we do get like another Zach Cregger movie later this year.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Zach Krieger may be saying, "Hey, don't take my
Maybe
crown."
this year's Zach Krieger.
But like, God, like it's almost like I keep debating. I was calling it this year's Weapons before I even walked into the movie, which I think is why you even bring it up.
Yes.
After the movie, I was on the fence between calling it this year's Weapons or almost like this year's Begonia, in a way.
Mm.
But just like
Yeah,
a lot
that's good.
more of a horror
No, I
vibe.
hear-
of
With just
We're
the obsession being in the house. Thing.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a lot about that. The other A- horror movies, by the way,
Rise of Skywalker.
The Lost Boys, the vampire film,
Oh.
the Joel Schumacher movie,
Yeah.
Child's Play 2, Silence of the Lambs, The Conjuring, Conjuring Part 2.
There was nothing between Silence of the Lambs and The Conjuring.
Nope. Get Out and A Quiet Place Part 2.
Critics don't really like
Damn.
horror movies.
Those are all.
Damn.
This is not critics.
Well,
this
so
is audience.
Deepak, explain how Cinema Score works. This is
Cinema
important.
score
Yeah.
is in major markets. I think New York and LA. There's a random theater they'll pick. Opening night, opening weekend, they'll ask people as they're coming out of the movie, graded on a
Wow.
A
Sure.
to F scale. And typically anything A- and above is considered very good. Anything B+ and below is considered bad, especially if it's like a big Avengers kind of
Right.
movie where you would expect opening night, opening weekend, everyone is like the nerds who are like us and are going to see Captain America fight Thanos and whatever. If they come out saying it was B+, that's generally considered like not great. They should come out saying, "Oh my God, it was
But-
crazy." So A- for Obsession is good. I mean,
I do
the
think
movies that
another-
Riley just listed all sound amazing, like Silence of the Lambs, Get Out.
But like when it comes to
that
cinema
certainly
score
changes
as
the
well,
math of the movie.
doesn't another
Mm-hmm.
factor for those grades like have to do with like how the movie met expectations?
I think
No
that
way.
has a lot to do with how. I don't know that that's what the question they asked.
Yeah,
Bruno,
I don't
but
know
think that
what
that's
they-
like sort of how respondents typically tend to respond. Right? Is
Right.
like, was that
Yeah, sure.
I showed up thinking I was going to like the movie. Am I now walking out of the theater thinking I liked the movie? I think it's sort of that kind of a thing. But
Right,
yeah,
but then what's interesting, and not to take it too far afield about cinema score, is that like for me, the way you described that is like a C. Like, I thought I was going to enjoy it, and I enjoyed
that's
it.
interesting.
It's like a C or a B, maybe, right?
Yeah.
For an A, it's like, oh my God, I thought I was going to like it. And I loved it. It was incredible. Like
Gotcha.
when you and I went to see this movie,
Yes.
South by Southwest,
That makes
you
more
were,
I mean, that was the reaction I had
You-
to this movie. Absolutely,
you were
yeah.
excited. You got me excited. We both sat down. I was like, I think I'm going to like this movie. It came out really liking this movie. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was an A-. I think.
And I would say a lot of why we really liked this movie had to do with the fact that it does have the vibe of a scrappy independent horror movie in the sort of heritage of folks like Sam Raimi, right? Kind of running around with their friends in the backyard making a spooky movie. Really smart use of like shadow, really informed use of the camera, a lot of great, I think, like cinematic tricks to get a lot of production value bang out of very little actual on screen. Just like the hallmarks of a great director. When Curry Barker has access to like a budget, he's gonna blow it out of the water, man. I can't
Right.
wait.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Spoilers
Also,
coming.
Band's like early in his career too. He is 26 years old. I was bringing up to Jack earlier today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He
Who
came
is?
out on stage. Curry Barker. Remember, he came out on stage and we were
I
like,
thought
look
you
at how
said
young he
someone
was.
else's name. Yeah.
Yeah, no. He came out and Deepak and I's bones turned to dust and blew away in the Texas wind. I thought the movie fucking ruled, guys. like we should get into it. I saw it the second time now with Jack and another friend of ours. Had a great time. Was really just blown away by seeing it with like a real, just a normal audience of people who
Right.
were there to have, a horror movie happen to them. And I thought that we had a fun. It wasn't like a hottest room in the world, Jack. I would say we weren't. It was no Mortal Kombat audience. Those guys were
No.
there. But
Wish we could have seen it with those guys.
Could you hear him in the other hall or something?
We were just there earlier.
When we
The
went
last
to
time
see
we were at
Mortal
the movies
Kombat,
was
we were in it
Kombat.
with a particularly rowdy screening of linebackers.
But yeah, I mean, it is difficult. I am still not surprised, critics or audiences. I think people are tough to please with horror movies, and if it doesn't work out and you're too scared, or if it doesn't work out and you're not scared enough, like that's just a very difficult balance to strike.
Yeah.
And I think this
Right.
one did a really good job of not like alienating people by being too jump scary, but a lot of the stuff was still really genuinely frightening and applicable in a real way. Yeah, like you said, I'm sure we'll get into it, but it was very good.
I thought that her performance, Deepak. I mean, we talked about it at the time, but I have seen critics really flock
Absolutely.
to her, physicality in the movie.
Oh my God, yeah.
Obviously, her dedication to that character, kind of the incredible ways that Barker is able to like contrast her like sort of bright, shining presence with like this horrible thing that's happening to her in the movie. And just the way that she plays it, I think we keep throwing Lily Rose Depp's name around, but she was like the high watermark recently that we keep going to. And I think that this was another performance kind of in that vein of just like, holy shit, I can't even believe it.
Yeah, I've seen her name thrown around already on Reddit as like, oh, this is the best performance of the year. That's not going to be part of the awards conversation at all. But to
Indy
your
Navarrete is her name.
right?
Indy
But to your earlier point about weapons, I mean, we just saw what happened. I don't think that's going to happen here because I think a lot of that was also career achievement.
Be even more surprised.
Right.
But this is, I think this is going to be a breakout for her. And
Yes.
we're casting X-Men these days. We're always,
I'm
churning
sure her
through.
agent is very busy.
Yeah, we're about to reboot the MCU here in a couple of years, so I'm sure she'll be busy.
Listen, Indy Navarrete also didn't stand and applaud for Roman Polanski, and I think that we should just like that's worth mentioning.
That's true.
If we're going to start
Roman Polanski, it was On the Waterfront. Who directed it?
No. You're right. Because that was the whole thing. Is he gave names. Elia Kazan.
That's what it is. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. No. Right. Well, you know what? She's never applauded either of them. Let's say that right now. She's never applauded either of them. So I'm getting I'm getting the Oscar campaign going from my girl Indy, who I thought was amazing in the movie, and
Absolutely.
the real star.
I like the lead also. The lead did a good job. He has a very
Michael
particular
Johnson.
kind of
It was a
screen
rough role.
presence. Yeah, where he starts off as a very sympathetic, likable guy, and by the end of the movie, you hate him, and he's done nothing but also everything in the meantime.
Yeah.
Right.
He kind of
It's
has
like-
the same facial expression the whole time, but
It
changes
starts
drastically.
off coming off as just like ignorance, and then slowly it just like fades.
It's like
away.
that puppy love thing. Yeah, then you realize
Exactly.
It's more sinister. Mm-hmm.
So Obsession is about a young man played by Michael Johnson, whose name is Bear,
Who just wants to play football.
who gets
Bear short for Baron, I think, worth pointing out.
yes, fair enough. He gets a product called a One Wish Willow at a sort of magic shop.
If your
like a
name is
new agey-
Baron, isn't your nickname Ron? It's right there.
one of the other, you would assume. Maybe he's a Topher. Anyway,
I think
he
it's
breaks.
Bear. I think it's Bear because of the Cashmere.
I am
Spice
gonna
he's wearing.
say what
I
the
am
goddamn
sorry.
movie's about, guys. His name's Bear. They literally call him Baron one time, 3/4 of the way through the movie. He gets a One Wish Willow. He breaks it in half. He says he wishes that this girl would be in love with him, and instantly, the cinematic language that Curry Barker is using conveys to you that this was the worst possible decision he ever could have made, and that this curse, and as it is clearly a curse, is going to stay with him until the moment of his death. Like that is just like, and I think that's the best part of this sort of horror movie. Like they are making no bones about it. Curry Barker isn't like playing with this kind of stupid, silly trope.
There's no side mission to a factory in the sticks where they're making these things to get to the bottom of like the magic juice that goes into
Sure.
But at the same time, there's no, we haven't sold any One Wish Willows in 100 years. It's just like, nah, man, you made a mistake. It was a bad mistake, and now you're going to suffer the consequences of that decision. And the
He just
cinematic,
buys it like it's a thing of Fireball. Like, yeah,
yeah,
whatever.
right,
It's literally
exactly.
like $6.99.
And then they sell them more.
I think that's the
Yeah.
price tag.
Yeah,
That's the best part of the movie, by the way. My favorite scene is when the guy
when he goes back,
When he goes back, it's like, I'm just fucking with you. It's right there.
it's right there. We just have to move it. But like, so he snaps the thing, and the lighting around Indy's character Nikki changes. She's like instantly kind of enveloped in shadow, but she like almost also becomes like xenomorphic in how she's
Right.
like instantly stalking him in a way. And yeah,
Oh,
this
she does that. I was telling you about this after we saw it. That cuckoo thing.
yes.
The way that the old lady walks in cuckoo. That's what she does in this movie.
Yes, she has. There's several scenes of her kind of doing creepy, weird Lynch-like physicality,
Right.
running around his bedroom. There are sequences where she duct tapes the entire house shut so that he can't leave. But all of this, right? And I think this is really smart production value on the film with such a scrappy budget. All of the like weird, spooky shit she does for the most part is off camera, and then it's like Baron comes back to find Nikki and whatever she has done in the house, and he's like, oh god, now I've got to deal with this consequence of
Right.
my actions, right? And
Yeah.
in some ways it's like having a puppy, right? But the puppy is a woman that you're torturing who wants to kill you. So let's start there. What did you guys think of like the horror stuff, the duct tape, the feces, the poem at the party, all like the scary shit Nikki does?
The car was the big one.
The cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly.
For me,
So when-
it was like that one. I don't know if it was the first night or second night of just like at Bear's house, and she is just moving around in his bedroom.
Yep. That's
That
the
was
first
one
one.
of the creepiest
I
moments
think
for
that's the
me.
first night.
Yeah.
Was
What
that
is
the
the-
first night?
I think
Jesus,
where she's up against the wall in the corner.
Yeah.
Corner.
Yeah, that's the second, I think.
Jesus.
Is
And,
the
like,
first night just when she screams stay?
Yes.
I
yes,
think-
that's the
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the point. So he wishes, I wish Nikki would love me more than anyone in the fucking world. Breaks the stick. Nikki
Right.
becomes obsessed with him. But also maybe Nikki isn't obsessed with him. Maybe Nikki is like possessed by a demon.
I've
And I
seen a
think-
lot of people compare it to the
Absolutely
sunken
she is.
place in Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that those sorts of scenes are some of the like best detail work that the movie does. Like when Nikki is asleep, or maybe the monster, we should call it, is asleep.
Yeah.
Right.
And
She is
Nikki's voice comes through the body
Oh, yeah.
saying like pleading to be killed.
Kill him. Yeah.
And I think that's really when your opinion on Bear starts to shift, right? Because
Yeah.
Bear says, what, it's so bad being with me? You want me to kill you? And
Yeah.
you're like, holy shit, dog.
Mhm.
I thought you were
Mhm.
just like out over your skis. I didn't realize you're like, do not have empathy, right?
For me,
And
it was
That's the thing. It's Pygmalion. It's
Yeah.
I'm going to create this
Oh.
woman for my own purposes.
Deepak,
Yeah.
Jack
And
was
then-
obsessed with your
I
Letterboxd review.
loved your take when I like read that in front of Riley and he saw me be like, oh my god,
Jack just started
I think
pacing.
this is
We
my
were like
favorite
standing in a
Deepak
bar.
movie take. And then this is the remake of Pygmalion.
Yeah, but I mean, it is. It's what do I do with the woman that I've created for myself when she has to be a person and she
Well,
can't because
right.
she doesn't know how to do that.
And as we are, the four of us sitting here talking about this movie, I did want to call out that I have seen some reviewers talk about this movie, basically giving it the review of like, oh, the classic male power fantasy. And I do not know that that is actually engaging with this movie authentically on its own terms, because I think that this movie, like,
It's not endorsing that fantasy. if
I
that's
don't think
what-
that it is empathetic
No.
towards Bear at all. Like, I think
No.
it sees him as the true monster of the film.
like, in fact, if you
Riley, do you-
movie a
in our
second
screening-
time, I
Riley,
feel
in our
like
screening, people groaned when he didn't
Yes.
when he tried
When he
to
doesn't,
vomit
we're
at the
full
end.
spoilers. We're full
Yeah.
spoilers. When he tries to not kill himself at the end, people were like booing in our.
People,
Yeah.
people were like, "Dude, go!
Yeah.
You're
I
done."
mean, one nice thing about horror as a broad genre is that you can tell who the movie agrees with and doesn't agree with by
Yeah.
who
Right.
is alive at the end. And I think this movie does a pretty good job at killing the people who were morally in the wrong and letting the
I
people
was-
who were
The
victims
Silence of the
survive.
Lambs famously agrees with Hannibal Lecter. He's the last
The-
person.
Well,
He's a good, beautiful
I'm not
man.
saying every movie, but as a broad genre, like certainly thriller movies where people are getting murdered left and right.
right. I was getting really upset at my screening, like watching the ending like come up because I thought they were gonna just go full Romeo and Juliet with this,
Yeah,
Hmm.
and
there is
then
a moment that seems like that.
and then like real Nikki snaps back into it, and
Yes.
it is just dead silent in the theater, but I am just cackling.
Yes, I had the exact same reaction the first time, Bruno. I lost it at the ending because I was just like, "This is so evil." Like Barker just going full tilt. I'm making a horror movie. I'm a monster, a sorcerer, right? Like I'm just gonna pull all these things. Poor old. I mean, speaking of everybody who dies deserves it. Poor old Ian and his $1 billion, eh?
Yeah.
Wishes
Oh yeah.
wishes for $1 billion, gets rained on with cash, goes to share his money with his good buddy Bear, gets shot in the head by Freaky Nicky.
Like no time. Just
Look, I don't
Oh,
know.
she kills him.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
she
He
nines
like
him.
walks in the door and she just shoots him straight
After
in the
she's-
donkeys immediately.
Oh,
After-
I have no recollection of that.
Well, it's after she's beaten the
well, it's because
ever-loving
it happened
shit
so
out of the
fucking
girl,
fast.
and she's like displayed the body, and she's like
Yeah,
made
a lot's
herself.
happening.
She's
very
like made
quickly.
herself
Oh.
look like. Remember, she's put the tattoos
Right.
on her now.
Oh,
And
you
so,
may
yeah.
you may have been repressing so much of that.
There was a
thing.
lot
I think
happening.
blocked these things out.
Yeah.
I went to go watch it with Holly. The last 30 minutes of the movie, Holly was just eyes closed the entire time,
Yeah, I believe
just
that.
blocking it out.
Gang, for some reason there was a confusion in communication in the old Trahan household, and my beloved wife thought we were going to be seeing this movie together. She thought there was some world in which this was going to be a movie she should see. I was like, I can't even imagine. Like she doesn't like
Oh, you
like
should've done
80s
it.
slashers.
You
She doesn't want to go
Right.
see like Jason. Like I couldn't
Riley,
imagine.
please take Mackie to go see this movie.
She would do this to me. She'd nicky me for taking her to see it.
No, just wait to watch it at
One
home.
thing
Watch it at home.
that stood out to me about this movie
Yeah.
is the way characters talk
Mhm.
and like how many problems are caused by people's inability to just say the thing.
Right.
Right.
If this
You know?
movie opens with Ian saying, "Hey Bear, I'm sleeping with Nikki. Please don't sleep with Nikki." None
Or
of the
with
movie.
Bear just saying, "Hey Nikki, I like you."
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
with and then it's especially like Nikki's scenes where she's coming up with justifications. There's something about the way
Mm-hmm.
she's so clearly auditorily scrambling for anything.
Right.
And then as soon as she like gets a foothold, she doubles down on it. Like when she's like, "It was a panic attack." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it was a panic attack." She's
My
like,
cat died. Your cat died. There's a dead cat. I took
all of those
MDMA.
scenes were like why I was so clear from the beginning that something was like using her.
Yes.
But it does also happen with the regular characters that like people's just social faux pas keep them from solving these problems.
And I also think that, like, to build on that, Jackson, part of what I think is so great about the movie is that it is just on the right side of being a Twilight Zone episode in terms of how much these problems are how much these types of problems are caused by ourselves, right? Like no, as far as I know, nobody has a demon girlfriend running around trying to trap them in the house. But like these sorts of dilemmas in our interpersonal relationships, these sorts of like codependencies, these sorts of like unhealthy dynamics come from lying to each other, keeping information from each other, not being clear and fully present in our communication. And I think that like it's a really clever metaphor that the film plays with. And I think like Get Out, right? I don't know that this movie is as great as Get Out, to be clear. But like I think like Get Out, it's a really clever use of a clear analogy in a way that audiences can just be like, "Yep, I get it immediately. Absolutely. I totally understand what we're working with here." Well, sorry, Bruno, you were going to say something.
No, I mean you pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Bruno, how did you feel about Andy Richter being in the film?
I did not.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Like he was there. Okay, cool.
I just love that he just bopped through the background to two scenes.
No,
I was like, "Hey,
genuinely,
that's Conan's friend."
It's funny you mentioned Get Out, Riley, because no, I don't think like I'm with you that I think Get Out might be the better movie, but I do think Obsession is the scarier movie. Like
Yes.
Obsession might be the scariest movie I've seen in a long time. And but what I enjoyed about it the most is that like a lot of the scary moments in the movie, like very intentionally, like would overstay their welcome and become like cringe humor. And I thought that was really like it was a really interesting how Curry was able to maintain the balance between the two and didn't make it like get tiresome. Like I was enjoying the whole thing all the way through.
Can I tell you a little anecdote about that, Bruno?
Yeah.
And I haven't told Deepak this yet. The version that Deepak and I saw at South by Southwest,
Oh,
I'm inclined to say, had more head squashes in the front
Really?
seat
oh,
of that car. And he
mhm.
did
He
tell
said
us,
he took some out already.
he said he had to cut it down. So I don't know if he had
Yeah.
to cut it down more or if we maybe just because we were at a festival, we got to see the uncut. I don't know what the deal was, but
Right.
maybe I'm misremembering because he said that and I'm just bad at remembering stuff. I don't know. But to me, it
It
seemed like the
felt like
version
it
we
was
saw.
more the first time you saw it.
Yeah, it definitely
It
felt like
might
it was
just
more.
be the shock of seeing it the first time.
But regardless,
Yeah.
that's a perfect example of exactly what you're talking about, Bruno. And it's throughout the film where he does this, where he's like, oh no, I could squish this head 3 times on a steering wheel. Let me squish this head
What if I do it 10
17
times?
times on a steering wheel.
Yep.
And yeah, I do think that it's like, his origins are also, he was like one of these YouTube comedy guys.
Yeah.
And like Krieger, like Peele, these, comedy minds who turn themselves to horror, I think we get great results. I'm really loving it. I'm here for more of it.
No,
Mhm.
absolutely. And like you guys already all mentioned as well, like Indy, the main actress, she did an amazing job. The way she would change her face a
Yeah.
lot of the time was really, really good. Also, and on top of that, like in combination with that, I should say, was Curry's use of like the sound mixing and the lighting in a lot of the
The
scenes.
lighting was incredible.
Best use of shadow I've seen, period.
Yes.
Like just the way the shadows worked with and around Nikki and Freaky Nikki was just
Yes.
amazing.
That first scene when she's about to go into her house and he snaps the willow, and then you see her on the porch in the shadow, and the way it cuts across her face, it was just masterful stuff from Barker. Jack, I just before we go on, you had called this out when we were talking afterwards, and I thought it bore mentioning because I thought it was clever storytelling. Great stuff that Bear cannot snap the second One Wish Willow. He just physically can't do it.
That was exactly the kind of like supernatural world building stuff that I really liked, is when he tries to make a second wish and he just
Right.
can't for the life of him break the stick. I thought that was
He's like pushing it
The-
against his steering wheel. He's trying to snap it
yeah,
over his knee.
the
He just
fun
can't
sort
do
of
it.
like natural, easy to integrate lore. Like maybe it doesn't work if you think about it too much, but
Curry
Right.
brought
the
this
movie
up
never has to.
recently.
Show, don't tell. That's
Yep.
what that
Yeah,
is.
Yep.
Curry brought this up recently that like no one like caught it. Like no one, he hasn't seen anyone write about it. But the jingle that like happens when you open the box, it's different for people who had already done a wish.
Oh,
I
So
didn't notice
like
that.
so like for Bear, like he got a different jingle anytime he tried to open the box after his first wish, and like both jingles on their own are very, very creepy. But
Mhm.
if you put them side by side, the first one that plays is a little bit more welcoming.
Right. The second one's damning.
Yeah.
The jingle is also such a clever idea because at the end, when we as the audience are in the bathroom with Bear watching him, wimp out of taking those pills to kill himself, thus freeing Nikki from the curse,
Mhm.
and we hear the
The snap.
jingle in the other room. Well, that's the thing. First we hear the jingle, and then right after it we hear the snap, and then
Right.
that's when he stops his chickening out and goes out into the room to join her because clearly her wish has been for him to reciprocate her love. But I just thought the jingle just like so haunting in that moment. I was
Right.
like, clearly he thought of the jingle for that. He's like, I need you to know she's opened it in the next room. And then he's like, all right, great. Now all the other stuff we need to
Okay.
have the jingle. And it's clever filmmaking. I like that kind of stuff.
Um,
Any final thoughts on Obsession?
I'll share a quick headcanon thing just because you brought up like the last wish
Yeah.
that Nikki makes like while he's in the bathroom. Like we learned earlier in the movie like how wishes work and like how like Nikki is Freaky Nikki until Bear dies. That made me think a lot about the possibility that real Bear is still trapped somewhere in a sunken place
Oh,
and he is going to stay there until whenever real Nikki dies. And that's a fate worse than death, and I'm kind of here for it.
That is a good point.
it's pretty horrifying, but yeah, I'm completely fine with that for him. If that's what ends up happening. Cool. Well, this has been Nerdigo News. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to remind you can get us on our social media at Nerdigo Media on Instagram, not Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. No, Jesus Christ, let's go. We want to remind you can get us on our social media at Nerdigo Media on TikTok, X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. You can also follow us at Nerdigo Media on YouTube and go to our website, nerdigo.com, which is much easier to remember, where you can get all this stuff and you don't have to worry about the social media platforms and all that nonsense. Anyway, now it's time for some pop culture recommendations. These are things we've been watching, reading, eating, playing, or listening to that we've enjoyed lately, and we think you're going to like too. And this week, I'm going to go first because I've been playing the video game Star Wars Outlaws, which I already mentioned way earlier in this very podcast. It's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it just fine. As far as I could tell, the reviews were mostly negative around the exceedingly high price point the game had when it was initially released. It was very expensive when it came out, but I got it on sale for like $30 for May the 4th. So I was happy with that. And I've been playing a bunch of sabacc. I've been flying spaceships. I've been shooting down TIE fighters. I've been hustling fets. I've been doing the whole thing. So, I'm on my way to meet the Hutts right now. I can't wait. So we'll see, but it's good. It's faction based, so there are a lot of gangs throughout the known galaxy, and you've got to like placate them. And oftentimes, like doing something for Red Dawn will cause the Pikes to like you less or more, and you kind of try and keep it balanced, or you just decide you're out on the Pikes, fuck them, and then you only work for Red Dawn. So it's interesting. I think I might get a couple playthroughs out of it, but I'm having fun doing it. Deepak, what you got?
Over the last couple of weeks, I saw Devil Wears Prada 2. You will not take a better nap this year in theaters, I guarantee it. I rewatched Catch Me If You Can because that was in the back of my mind for a while now, and that's still a good movie.
Beautiful
Spielberg guy made that one too. And then sort of akin to Catch Me If You Can, as it turned out, was my wife and I watched, what did we watch? Marty Supreme. We started it last night, and then I finished it this morning. Good movie, entertaining movie. I don't know that there's anything particularly great about it. Probably needs a second watch to kind of get what Safdie was trying to do with that movie. But I am curious to now watch the wrestler rock movie that the other brother did and see they both seem like character studies, and they're trying to kind of figure out their own path in life, and seems like there's some interesting stuff going on there. So,
and I think they both climaxed in Japan.
Really curious to hear your thoughts about
Josh and Benny both climaxed in Japan.
Yeah. Really curious about your thoughts about those two movies, like side by side, whenever you get to Smashing Machine.
So when I finished Marty this morning, they're both on HBO Max, and the next one that it immediately recommended was Smashing Machine.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you finished this, you should check this one out. I'm like, I can't.
Keep the fun times rolling.
Soon.
That's really funny.
Bruno.
All right, keeping up with some of my Marvel rewatch, I went through The Avengers, I went through X-Men First Class. Both movies are still great as always. Avengers obviously trumping First Class. We've talked about Obsession earlier today. I checked out Punisher: One Last Kill, which was just Punisher meets John Wick meets The Raid, and it's only 40 minutes, and it was an absolute blast start to finish. It does a really good job, in my opinion, of like pretty much doing a like spark notes / culmination of his character arc from the whole Punisher TV show, as well as like sort of like show his growth into the more comic booky version of the Punisher that we will be seeing coming soon in like Brand New Day and stuff like that. So, and I thought they did that very, very well. And I think that's it on me.
Excellent. And Jack.
In protest, I'm going to recommend, not really, another interactive drama game. We, a few days ago, got the newest game from Supermassive's Dark Picture series, which started with Until Dawn, probably most famously as basically an interactive movie where you have to direct. The latest entry is called Directive 8020 and is a sci-fi horror piece in this lineage. These games are a great time. They're fun to play with like a big group of friends who can all take over one person and see who survives for how long. I don't know that I would necessarily play them on my own, but as always, it seems like the studio recognizes this, and it has a specific mode for you to do this so that you can pass around the controller easily. So I would recommend it.
I was just trying to remember what those games were called the other day. So the Dark Picture Anthology games. There you go. All right, this has been Nerdigo News. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to remind you that you can get this as a video program on youtube.com/@nerdigomedia or at nerdigo.com. You can also get highlights of our show along with just funny little stuff and social media highlights, exclusives, and more over on our socials at TikTok and Instagram at Nerdigo Media. You can also get our written reviews along with all of our thoughts about our South by Southwest Film Festival at nerdigo.com. And we will be back next week with more about the news. Don't forget to tune in then to hear